Welcome back to CBS This Morning, and we begin with this. In addition to its terrible physical toll, the pandemic continues to force many Americans into financial hardship. More than 5 million people filed for unemployment benefits last week, bringing the job losses since mid-March to about 22 million Americans. Federal stimulus checks are starting to arrive, but many Americans are, and often for the first time, increasingly relying on food banks to feed their families.
I'm a school bus driver, and I've been out since March 13th and need help. I've got 2 little ones.
I am out of money and just about out of groceries. I've got 2 kids.
None of us is working, and we have kids, and they don't know that we don't have money to support them.
That's a story everywhere. A group of celebrated chefs is leading the fight against insurance companies on behalf of restaurants nationwide. They say the insurers refuse to pay what's being called, and it's a mouthful, business interruption insurance, and that's jeopardizing the survival of their restaurants. Nearly 60% of all U.S. jobs lost in March were in the food and beverage industry. So as part of our series on the financial fallout from the pandemic, our consumer investigative correspondent, Anna Werner, shows us what this fight is all about. Anna, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. Yeah, these chefs from noted restaurants say they've paid millions in premiums to insurance companies over the years, in part for that business interruption insurance. But now that their business is being interrupted by government shutdowns, they say their claims are being denied.
So right now, I need from you.
Back in December, Chef Thomas Keller's famed French Laundry restaurant bustled with staff turning out fine cuisine. But it's now closed. He's been forced to lay off nearly all his 450 employees at 3 restaurants.
Our revenue source was cut off immediately. I mean, there's just, one day you're doing business, you have revenue, and the next day there's nothing.
Yet Keller says when he filed a claim with his insurance company, he was denied.
This is a time of crisis right now, and we need help.
Others tell similar stories. Chef Eduardo Jordan runs 3 top restaurants in Seattle. His claims also denied.
That's not fair. That's not what, we pay our business insurance for each and every month.
At issue is what's called business interruption insurance coverage designed to replace business income lost in a disaster. The chefs have now formed a group to pressure insurers to pay restaurant claims nationwide.
At the end of the day, those companies don't show up for us. I don't think that's right.
Chef Dominique Cran owns 3 top restaurants in San Francisco.
I think it's not just for us, but it's for the community of small businesses all over America.
This is my butter churn.
Small businesses like Diane St. Clair's Creamery in Vermont, which supplies butter for the French Laundry.
This little building in the front is the creamery.
It took her 20 years to build her one-woman, 10-cow business.
This is Diva. Hi, baby girl.
But without a place to sell her butter, it may not survive.
It isn't the income level that I really should have to keep this farm going for very long.
Right. And so for very long, how long is that, do you think?
Maybe a couple of months.
Jimmy Grandy is with the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies.
Business interruption never contemplated anything of the size and scope of a pandemic virus. It's fundamentally uninsurable.
He says most insurance contracts don't cover viruses or pandemics. Instead, his group and others want the government to set up a recovery fund for businesses backed by taxpayer dollars.
They're the only people that have enough size and scale. We're talking about trillions of dollars.
But Thomas Keller says he did have virus coverage and paid extra for it. His insurer, Hartford, wouldn't comment. But in Keller's policy, there's this language: we will pay for loss or damage by fungus, wet rot, dry rot, bacteria, and virus.
They're still denying my claim.
That's why he's now suing one of 2 lawsuits filed by attorney John Hotelling, who says of the insurance companies,
it's a game. It's the same game that they've always done.
He also represents the chefs group.
What they're doing is they're holding back the money that they owe, the portion that they owe for leverage in Washington, for people to scream, and for the taxpayers and the rest of them to bail them out. Now, that's not right.
If the insurance industry was to say to you, look, this is just not what this insurance was designed for, and we can't afford to take on this burden either, what would you chefs say?
That's not good enough.
These insurance companies have to step up. They have to dig deeper. They have to figure it out and hold their part of the bargain up.
Another major insurance group told us that many contracts just simply don't cover communicable diseases. But there are reports of proposals in several states now to try to force insurance companies to retroactively cover many of these business interruption claims due to coronavirus. Gail?
It's a common complaint about insurance companies. You pay, and then when you need them, there's some excuses. Thank you, Anna, very much. We all look forward to going to a restaurant.